Alright, folks, welcome back. It is Monday once again, reset day, back on Neverwinter. Last time we reached what I would think is the final milestone, really. Like, usually the 5th milestone, so you gain access to, right, the artifact set, which is appropriately, in my opinion, a little bit more agreeable set on the 6th week. The dungeon itself, Lair of the Mad Dragon, does not have a weapon set of its own. I suppose that might be the reason why they made it so approachable this time around. I'm sure, or at least fingers crossed, this would be the new norm. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Nothing else. I don't think we had any, like, missions or stories or any of the sort. We're gonna hop right in. This is as usual. Usually these days are 5 days, right? Average. I would be very floored if I find something new. We'll see. Alright. Gonna do our weekly hauls, right? And then see if we can catch a run of a Lair of the Mad Dragon. Last time we were unsuccessful. However, we had a trip down memory lane by doing an Infernal Citadel. Perhaps that's what we should do. I haven't done an advanced dungeon queue in quite a while. So last time it was fun seeing actually the changes. They made changes to Infernal Citadel, the one from the Avernus chapter. All right. So how does it look? Do we have like activities available to us? Yes, we do. So basically, we're just gonna turn this in this week, and it's gonna go on cooldown, and then we do the 3 different things, and that's it. Pretty quick. Let's go north first. It's kind of a pain going down there. All right. So we basically just do the 3 all of the day. Let's see, it's 1:40 local time. Let's see how long these runs are. We'll definitely be able to catch some early dungeon runs. Alright, Ignazar. Ignazar visit again. Regulars. What the? Where do you guys come from? Oh, I guess the platform ones do aggro, even if you walk by them. What is happening? Where are you guys coming from? Oh. Oh, hey, look. Didn't even start yet, and first bot of the day. Congratulations. Scummy bot. And whoever implemented those things, pretty scummy too. Thank you for announcing. Thank you for announcing your use of bots. Truly. Truly the lowest of effort. I talk Ignazar. See you in a little bit. One down. Okay. And we take our TP to the Shadow Caverns. Shadowfire Caverns. Quicker path. Okay. Regis just standing there on the ramp, feeling bad about pathing. No, it would be interesting to make a relentless slash is 360 as opposed to whatever's in front. Right. That'd be an interesting consideration to increase the reliability. I mean, functionally, maybe not so thematically. Alright. What's this guy's name? Oh, no name. Just an elemental. Okay. Good talk. Off we go. And then this brings us to the entrance of Hotnow. And we're just heading south. Whoa, that stutter. All right. I think we're just gonna do the run. We're gonna run down there. Wow. That little lip stopped the mighty leap in its tracks. Oh. Can I get a refund on that? I guess I can kinda technically do a sprint out of a punishing charge. Let's try not to use another healing charge there, but alright. Blade Masters do be gimped. Okay. I can't vi run. Okay. Alright. Alright. Amath, hello again. New week, new day. My ground effect lasts a little bit disagreeably long for melee characters. Alright. Better pathing and we go back to the entrance. Okay. Alright. And that's it. That's it for our first tune. 10 minutes. Record time. Alright. That's more like 15 minutes. Ah, it's pretty close to the normal live service dailies. Okay. Go. 75 down the hatch. $100. Off to the next tune. Now for some swift justice. Okay. Turn out 25. Whoops. Let's go north. Whoops. Combat. Alright. Right, we wait here. Line of sight. Or not. Okay. Oh, can I get it? Ah, that's too far away from the handle. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the Sentinel out of retirement. Next mod, they're gonna do things like this where you like can run the stuff. It does need a lot of TLC. Be outdated. Okay. Alright. Okay. I brought some guests. Okay. TikTok. And I'll be back. Alright, off to the Shadow Fire Caverns. Okay. Gotta go fast. Alright, line of sight. Alright. Here's a kick. Alright. I definitely guarded there. Alright, game. Yeah, there's this weird thing that if you don't hold a directional movement while trying to guard, it doesn't reset the guard, so the guard has like a slightly, at least in my opinion, it has like a slight delay if you stand in position. So whenever you get like little artifacts that says standing still for 3 seconds to get a bonus, that's pretty silly. Yeah, it's quicker for the guard to respond if you do micro movements in place. So things like that, I was trying to stand still there. Guard shift doesn't come up. As much as slightly tapping right or left and then shifting. You would think, you know, thematically it would be the opposite thing, where if you stood still, you can bring up your guard faster. And if you're moving, it takes a longer to bring up your guard. I mean, pragmatically speaking, they should be the same, in my opinion, regardless of moving or standing still. But that happens quite a lot. Especially when you're standing still and the animation of your at will continues to take a long time to complete. It's very noticeable. So you're always doing like slight micro movements. Like that. If you wanna smooth your transition out of your like relentless striking? I forgot what it's called. Radiant slamming. Or your Avenger. You want to be holding a direction before you shift. If you stand still, there's gonna be a delay. Not that it's a big deal or anything. Most people are holding a direction, I guess, when they're like using a guard character. This is not true for any character that isn't a guard character. So those guys tend to stand still, wait for animations to complete, and a lot of times they're grounded. Outside of like hitting a shift and then interrupting. And if you hit it too early, you'll rubber band back like that. You rubber band back like 3 or 4 frames. Okay. Campfire run. Alright. It would be interesting if I can jump over here. No, that's an invisible. Wait. Nah, that's an invisible wall. I was like, I would dig it if you could jump over that spot. Right. Alright. Next one. Oh, there, Gamath. Back. Yeah. So the idea is always do a slight micro movement before you hit shift. Because there's I don't know what you call it, but there's like an animation lock on shifting. So constantly strafing, slightly backpedaling is advisable to have like the responsiveness of shifting. At least that's what I think. In my hands. I mean, since the AP nerf on shifting, you're already gonna get penalized for it anyways. So having guard have a casting animation, that's kind of weird. I mean, I might be completely mistaken, but there's definitely a casting timer. Like if you stand there and hit shift and then watch the animation happen and try to hit shift again, you don't lift up your shield. It's not like instant. So shifting is not instant. Guarding. There's a delay going into it and a delay coming out of it. Me speak French. Please me is new. I don't speak French, unfortunately. Sorry. Alright. Okay. Okay. Alright. Third time's the charm. How long did that take? I guess it's like 20 minutes actually. Wait. 50. Okay, it's like 15 minutes. Wait. Are you telling me my regular activities? What the heck? Wow. His activities are so low. What the heck? Well, we'll turn these in and see what happens. Why is his activity at 59%? Really weird. Hmm. Oh, I had this thought about the guild boon for mount and movement speed bonus. It's kind of, you know, most players are gonna toggle between the movement speed and mount speed anyways. I think combining them is probably just a quality of life change, right? Instead of having to like tap your boons and then keep selecting between these two, just combining them, in my opinion, have the same bonus. It reduces the inevitable thing that most people will do, which is to toggle between them. Personally, I don't really know why they were... I can't seem to think of the motivation that they would be separated in the first place. Just for quality of life change. Since you can always go in and toggle. Just something that comes up too often. Often enough. If it occurs like every single day, qualifies as a quality of life change. You know? What the heck? I don't know where that guy is going. Going in the opposite direction. Okie dokie. Alright. Freaking the scaling on Dreadnought is such a different level than Blade Master. Okay. fire caverns. Let's go. This is probably easily one of the fastest weekend reset days. Approved. You know? Approved. Honestly, I wouldn't mind doing this each week. I won't be streaming it, of course. Just considering some things. I don't remember what the repeatable reward is for. That you can exchange the currency in this one. It might be dust. Potentially dust. Alright. That's it? Oh, wait. No. Just kidding. We gotta do our Gamath. I'm gonna visit Gamath. Oh, wait. I'm gonna go there. It's like 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. 45 minutes, 3 characters. Amazing. Approved. Oh, wait. Well, this might be a little bit longer because activity, for whatever reason, is pretty low. Weird. That rubber band. Oh my goodness. There's a little clip. And now we just lost 3 minutes. Amazing. Yeah, there was a little clip on the gap there. Amazing. Yep, right there. There it is, folks. You put invisible walls from cutting across, but you don't put invisible walls on gaps like that. Like, I would love to cut over there. Yeah, like cut through there. There's an invisible wall there. Run. All right. Okay. All right. What the heck did that hit? All right. Oh. Oh. For a moment there, I thought you could break your fall by resetting the fall velocity by slamming yourself into that wall. All right, Gamath. Last time for this week. Until next week. Yep, that delay on the block on shifting when you're standing still. I don't know if it's intentional, but it's pretty lame. Okay. Alright. Oh, it doesn't count as activities in the place. I guess we'll do some heroic encounters. Yeah, let's do some heroic encounters on this guy. Not the fastest ever. Unless these things somehow spikes my activity by a lot. I doubt it. How much do we get? 67%. Alright. We'll find ourselves a train, I suppose. What instance are we in? 6? 5. 14. We can set up heroic encounters for next week. Nope. Nope. 15. All right, 15 it is. Might not even be heroic encounters. Commanders are fine too. How many peeps are here? That doesn't look auspicious. Hmm. I think you get maybe 5% per commander. Oh no, you get a lot. You get like you might have gotten, you might get 10% per commander. Wait, where the heck are we going? What? Oh. Right, sure. Let's see. 82%? Alright. How much you get off of a minor encounter? Ooh. I kind of like that guy's color scheme. And helmet piece. Oh, this guy looks pretty cool. What the? Wait. Oh. It's because it's an NPC. Oh no, maybe it isn't. Wait. Oh no, it isn't. It's that someone's companion? Kind of looks like it. I really like the color scheme on that. Yeah. Neat. Alright. How much do I get for that? It's like 5%. You get 5%. It's okay. Pretty mid. Nice. Yeah, commanders though. Now, commanders get you some mad experience. Or lots of activity progress. Alright, there we go. Not too bad. 52 minutes. Okay. Alright. Well, that's it for our weekly haul. Now we're gonna see if we can pick up a dungeon run before the day's over. If not, we'll just do an advanced dungeon queue. You know, visit some older dungeons or pick up whatever else, I suppose. Plenty of things for our dungeon run. Okay. Let's just chill. Looks like a bunch of people QQing about inexperienced players or whatever again. Ooh. I didn't know if my wrist popping triggered the mic. All right. It's been 2 weeks since we found any randoms interested in Layer of the Mad Dragon. I haven't actually ran through Layer of the Mad Dragon since the Arthrax's not being able to get clipped into a wall patch. Actually, I kind of lied. There was a random RDQ that landed on Layer of the Mad Dragon. Can confirm. Doesn't get clipped along the wall. Not looking great. Let's see, a bunch of RCs. Just the RC today. Castle Never. No mount powers, no consumables, no revives. That seems reasonable. Oh, hey. I didn't realize they upped the number of Reaper marks per RC by 200%. It used to be one per run. So it looks like it's 2. Interesting. I do see someone in Alliance that wants to do a quick RDQ. Advanced dungeon. What is the advanced dungeon list? Yes, right. Lots of people looking for their randoms, their daily randoms of the day. I'll give it like another 5 minutes. Meanwhile, we can just look at prices. What about our mythic prices on enchantments? Okay. Alright. We might hop into a random trial queue and then see what give it some space. And then come back. Never mind. Got filled. Look at more prices. Mounts. That's kind of expensive. How much are... Hmm? 5 listings. I'm looking good. I could do an RC. Oh, wait. Alright, we'll just do our RTQ for now. Sure. We'll give it another shot after we do this. Give it a little time. Got some time today. Basically, everyone's doing their standard currency upkeep. Okay. Oh, we get to AFK. This is... Hello there, Admiral. Hello. Lacey. Hello. Alright, so we get to AFK here. We stand here, we hit one button. That's the life, you know? Stand here, hit one button. Unless the other person's an Oathkeeper. If the other person's an Oathkeeper, I don't have to hit any buttons. We'll move around a little. Do we have any healers that would like to go Azamar? Why is that a question? Well, I happen to be a healer that's an Azamar. I don't know why that person's asking. Elaborate on question. I'm just reading out loud. That do not have it unlocked, I mean. Oh. Maybe someone's giving a free selling a free unlock. I mean, selling an unlock or something. Yeah, we're just gonna run around in laps like so. And then press our R every once in a while. Whenever we see the life bar, some life bar changes. I know. It's incredibly engaging. Nice. Oh, I'm surprised. Yeah. Someone slowed it down. Not so nice. Come on, folks. Running laps, you know, running laps and bobbing and weaving between danger. Now that is a fitness routine I could get behind, right? Nice, nice. Off to the next phase. I would, but I haven't even been playing my healer, just building her. Oh, I had a interesting thought today after watching a video, but now I've lost it. Nah, it's okay. It'll come back to me later. You know, we had a recent, just a few minutes ago, I posted a link to a video. It reminded me of something me and some of my best friends I talked about a little bit a while ago. The story goes that maybe a little over a year ago, one of my best friends mentioned that they recently discovered how one could convert heavy cream to butter, and you basically just churn the cream and it becomes butter. So earlier this morning I was watching a video, and on my short feed, as I was looking around, this very popular person who likes to use scientific gadgets, right? Scientific instrumentation to perform maybe like some pragmatic things. And one of them was they took the cream in a container, and instead of churning it to make butter, they use a centrifuge, right? And I had no idea. I figured churning involves a more dynamic process in converting the cream into butter, but apparently it worked really well, and it was like a short clip, and it reminded me of my best friend's share of the idea of discovering that, yeah, butter is churned cream, right? Like, or you can take cream and convert it using like physical means. So that video reminded me of that, and I decided to link it, and it's been quite some time since we talked. Like, it's a little weird thing. I'm not even entirely sure if my best friends have the same sentiments. I imagine they have very similar sentiments. We usually don't talk in the sense of upkeeping our relationship I suppose, in a way. But it did lead to a discussion of having a conversation to catch up. I think it's been well over a year since we directly talked. So then, where am I going with this story? Well, when you get into a habit of like scheduling and doing things, you oftentimes forget that saying, oh, it's a great idea to meet up or something, or maybe sometimes that generally doesn't happen as one gets progressively older, right? The idea of it is quite nice, but it doesn't happen. However, interestingly enough, I found it incredibly almost endearing that instead of doing that, we pragmatically set up a time to have a discussion, which is great. I think that type of thing really makes it so that, yeah, you gotta do it, right? So I'm looking forward to that discussion sometime on Thursday, actually, Thursday evening. Schedules, if you will. Sometimes you might be thinking like, oh, that's kind of weird. Why would you need to schedule times to like hang out with friends? Life, professionalism, careers, family, that'll do it. That'll do it. Routine can happen too. So it's kind of nice to be acquainted with individuals or like friends, have friends that are like, yeah, let's get a time, let's think about the time. The decision was made in less than 15 minutes, no beating around the bush and whatnot. That is in contrast to the old days, right? When one was younger, it's like, oh yeah, let's hang out, and it's just, it happens in the moment. However, you get older, lots of things set into routines. That's kind of where I'm going with this. The thought and commitments as one grows older becomes more cemented, right? I think we kind of talked about this a little bit in the digression yesterday regarding the learning approach. The language learning. The idea that as one grows older, many things become incredibly routine, and revisiting and committing to things that disrupt that routine, such as learning a new language, going back through the learning process to develop a new skill, etc. A lot of that is optional. And behavioral conditioning is also one of those things. So kind of nice to, I find it very privileged that I have friends, in my opinion, who understands the implicit imperative of scheduling and committing to a time to like meet and talk. In fact, it also allows me to background process some talking topics and things to catch up well in advance, right? Well in advance. I just like studying all over again. I haven't engaged in catching up with people in quite some time. So that'll be a nice little break in my own routine. All right. Let's see if we get lucky this time. All right. It's 2:48 p.m. So we'll give it another 5 minutes. See if we can find any brave souls. We'll do one more thing. Or two more things. I'm feeling a little generous with my time today. I suppose. I love how I don't understand, but I do understand. What? Oh. That looks like German to me. Yeah, that's German. I don't know what that language is. Oh, what is that one? The servers in this game, Neverwinter Online, this is the hour where it's largely European of nature, so you get a mix of languages that you're playing. It is kind of a slight plug to understanding other languages. The very first comment today was someone apparently who speaks French, which unfortunately I do not speak French. Right. I have seen one person wrote with Hansa in Neverwinter, like only once in my nearly 10 years with this game. I've seen some Odomaji here and there. I saw some Odomaji being thrown around, although I think that was more for I think it was more for condescension than anything when people throw around Odomaji in this game. So it's more like European languages. So Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, German are probably the more common ones, and then of course English. Looking for 2 Masters, Imperial Citadel, heal DPS 2, boss experience only. All right. Well, I don't join experience only things because of negotiation issues. Good luck with that, I suppose. It's weird that that person typed that in the Alliance chat. You got that Austin Powers thing going on, I bet. I haven't heard Austin Powers in a while. Or mentioned in the wild. Alright, we got 2 more minutes. And I'm just gonna pick up any. Question, am I learning Chinese from scratch or was I raised speaking Chinese? I was raised speaking Fujianese, which is related to Chinese. But I didn't speak Mandarin. I didn't speak Mandarin, nor did I am able to read Mandarin. Looking for more. Advance. Interesting. Last boss. Need a healer. Alright. I mean, sure. What's wrong with... Why are they on the last boss without a healer and a DPS? Huh. Yeah, so I speak a dialect of Chinese called Fujianese. My parents are Fujianese. Spend most of my time around Chinese, so you can hear I have that whole 2nd generation thing, Lacey, where 2nd generation thing. Oh, so we just get into the last boss. Nice. 2nd generation thing where I can intuit the sounds and the general feel and construction of Mandarin and Cantonese. And that is also somewhat related to that Fujianese have the same structure. However, I am illiterate and I have trouble producing speech for Mandarin. Not necessarily because of pronunciation, but because it's a mess. Like, sometimes I'm not sure if I'm using Cantonese or Mandarin or Fujianese. So like finally having the opportunity to sort out the sounds and then putting putting some structure and discipline into all of the nebulous things is kind of nice. So technically, DPS and healer near the boss, tank far from the boss. Interesting. And the tank said that. That's not how that works. I guess we'll see. What is going on? Why are... Wait. How are they taking damage? What? How's that guy? Wait, how's that guy taking damage? That's so weird. Well, anyways, yeah, so not from scratch technically, but I don't think I'm learning language from scratch. Okay, here's what I would probably say about the whole like learning language from scratch. I don't think anyone outside their primary language has ever learned a language from scratch. Now, I have to qualify something, right? I have to qualify something. So, oftentimes when people choose to acquire a second language, right, it's usually out of interest, right? So, in some way, they would have enough exposure to choose to pursue a language. So, maybe the word scratch, I'm a little too literal for... Can you guys stop hitting that shield, please? Maybe I'm a little too literal with the scratch, but I would earnestly say that I don't have any language that I started from scratch. Like even Spanish wasn't from scratch, right? Because you would have some exposure to it. I got some comments today that people are impressed by your base knowledge Japanese. Oh, impressive. Well, that's awesome. Did you find out like what were their relationships with Japanese? Because obviously it'd be nice to have a frame of mind. Yeah, it's very difficult to I'm a little bit stickler for this idea. However, I'll wave like one big thing about it. If you spent most of your life passively consuming a different language, then I think that's the closest thing to scratch. As in like for me, Japanese is the closest thing to scratch because I consume Japanese. However, in the context of my primary language. So there wasn't any like active knowledge per se. However, I do have to say there's a little bit of a wrinkle in my interpretation of scratch, because then I would have to say that I'm learning Mandarin from scratch, right? And it would be very, very deceptive to say that I'm learning Mandarin from scratch. Largely because whenever I hear anything in Duolingo or something, I effectively already knew what the word was before like even looking at it. And so it happens to me to a lesser extent in Japanese, and that's largely due to the idea that I've heard it so much that it's like, oh, this feels right. And yeah. Now, would you qualify that as knowledge? I think we can make a concession that I would be more comfortable in saying base knowledge can be learned, can be from scratch, but wisdom is often not from scratch. So if you love anime and like manga, technically your wisdom is not from scratch. Now that's just being a little bit pedantic, but I feel like sometimes the reason why I want to highlight that you might have more knowledge or wisdom about a language than one might think is that it can be very interesting to leverage those things. So like, for example, I hear this quite a lot when it comes to anime and manga. Somehow a person describes their passion for manga and anime, and they decide that when they started learning Japanese, they no longer engage in anime and manga as though their prior experiences are irrelevant anymore. And that's kind of a thing that I'm kind of a stickler in this thing, because not only does it distance you from the very wisdom and knowledge you might have already have, it kind of distances you from the purpose of what motivated you to do so in the first place. So here's a comment that I've heard from someone, not personally myself. I don't want to watch anime anymore because anime is exhausting. Because now every time I watch anime, I can't watch it like I used to, because now I want to know what they're saying. Like literally what they're saying, or like the base knowledge of what they're saying. And that's kind of just disheartening at best. So they've established like this weird depravity. And my first question to the individual was something along the lines like, so you started to learn Japanese in order to enjoy something that you already do, and then discovered that because you started doing something, you no longer can enjoy the thing that you started, the purpose that you started with. And that can be a good or a bad thing, right? Sometimes new things come about and it can grow and become something more than that, but it can go the other way as well, which actually I hear that of far more than I would like to admit. Like, I don't want to hear it as much as often as I have heard it, which is perspective that a person's exposure to a language decreased from wanting to increase it. And I hope that doesn't happen too often. But for Japanese, that's happened more often than I would like to hear, which is falling out of your already existing routine. That's quite strange. You've never heard that before? Oh yeah, plenty of times. The reason why is I talked about subtitles quite a lot. It's really regarding subtitles. So like, for example, one can no longer appreciate the English interpretation and language because they learned Japanese. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, well, they achieved their goal, right? You know, they now they can watch anime and manga without subtitles. Like, well, yeah, certainly. But you are also discarding something else too, which is English. And you might have heard this in a different manner, which is the idea of allowing your common language and your primary language to slip into complacency. That tank just literally obliterated the other DPS. Okay. Yeah, so like, for example, yeah, I can finally watch anime without English subtitles, specifically English subtitles. I'm like, okay, well, what about Japanese subtitles, right? It's like, oh no, I don't need Japanese subtitles now that I can speak Japanese or listen to Japanese. All right, well, okay. You know, and then suddenly they would be starting to say something, and you get that whole like interesting thing where, oh, they would make mention like, oh yeah, sorry, you know, I'm thinking English, but I'm using like Japanese grammar and stuff. It's like now the reverse thing is happening, which for me, unpopular opinion, I don't want that to be like, for me, I'm doing quite literally the opposite when it comes to that. So for example, watching anime, all right, cool. Watching an English show, do I have subtitles? I do. They're in English. Do I watch anime with Japanese subtitles? I do. Do I watch anime with English subtitles? I do. Vice versa. It's not very common to have, unfortunately, or fortunately, for those who don't care, I suppose, it's not very common to have Japanese subtitles available for English programming, with a lot of exceptions. Disney productions tend to have a great opportunity for that stuff. I wish people would stop running around like their head is cut off. Okay. It's interesting that you haven't heard that before, where some people can no longer enjoy anime the same way after acquiring new knowledge. It's kind of a very classical, at least in my opinion, it's kind of a very classical specializing things, like losing sight of where it all started, right? The journey kind of thing. Kind of like playing a video game and turning your nose up on tutorials or something like that. It's not exactly the same, but that's kind of how it feels. And I don't typically want to encourage people to be too good for things, right? Foundations, pragmatism, you can still continue to enjoy things and develop foundation in different ways. I don't really watch anime, so I'm not involved in the anime community. Maybe that's why I've never heard of it. Yeah, there's so you haven't okay, I want to greet that, sure. I'll just greet. See if I get that. Wait, I don't have a key here? Hold up. Do I not have a key? Oh, I don't. Well, I guess we'll just use one of our dragon keys. Nah. Alright, nothing interesting. Oh, may I ask what motivates you to learn Japanese? I suppose, Lacey? Oh, we have time to pick up one more dungeon, since that was a freebie. Yeah, so you haven't encountered any people who learn Japanese through that and often talk about their motivations regarding why they decided to learn Japanese. That's a more common one, especially if their primary language was English. And strangely enough, if they're from Brazil and or the United States. My exposure to Japanese started when I was 5, and that largely started with Sonic the Hedgehog. So, and the rest is history. Ever since, I guess, my increase in involvement in the foreign, like the outside of Japan experience with Japanese increased over the years. That's a way to connect with most people, I suppose. So whenever I need to create a relatable environment, I ask them various questions, typically 2 or 3 questions, and one of them often involves their motivations, right? And then be able to relate to their motive. While I might not like obligatorily or religiously watch anime, I keep a lot of topical knowledge at hand. So I know at least 10 or 15 trending quality of life, like really common anime, manga that is interesting, gaming that is interesting, because if you're gonna if one, like for myself, is on Twitch very often, you kind of have to, it makes it very relatable when you have the gist of the idea. Like for Japanese, os is something that one might bring up quite often. You used to be into anime. I'm into Japanese culture. I guess I always wanted to learn it, but I couldn't because of my previous circumstances, so I'm learning it for the sake of your past self, maybe? Oh, okay. And you find new exciting reasons to continue with it every day? That's wonderful. So you used to be into anime, you're into Japanese culture? Yeah, anime is part of Japanese culture. So I'm not suggesting that you have to understand anime, but it is a very, especially the people who are learning Japanese would likely have being topical about anime is something of a great icebreaker. Alternatively would be something like food culture, Japanese food culture. That's an incredibly trending topic. Obviously it can be as personalized as you may want. Being open to it. I've probably watched like 2 or 3 additional anime that I don't otherwise would have watched, given other people's experience share and their inspirations. Like Japanese podcasts, their favorite vloggers. Then we talk about deep cuts. Like Asian face culture is a very common topic that I tend to talk about directly, because I kind of have some extended experience with Asian face culture, which translates really well and relatable, in my opinion, to the Japanese face culture, as well as the Japanese work culture, which happens to be very reflexive of Chinese work culture. Things like these, it brings you, at least in my opinion, it brings myself closer to relating to all the different types of people. You may be able to break the ice and find, I guess, I know you mentioned yesterday about being entertaining. I suppose I'm not necessarily focused on entertaining too much. While the entertainment aspect is interesting versus the connection aspect, I sometimes feel like if one can connect with another person, entertainment follows, right? So oftentimes I like to dabble, if you will, and dabble in other things, or things that involve my interest. So if one wanted to create content around something, one must dabble in the culture. Very soon, before your circumstances change enough to be able to learn it, I ordered Asahi at a bar at a family event, and my uncle said, "I'm sure you're fluent in Japanese by now." That pretty much sealed it. Oh, that's a really endearing thing. I basically told my one of my best friends, since it goes back to that whole like conversation, that little tiny story about designating a time to meet up on Thursday to catch up. And I basically summed up my last year since the last time we spoke. The same, like, oh yeah, I've been working on learning Japanese and Chinese. And then they asked the question, right? The question like, oh, so how's that going? Well, how's the process going? And my first thought is like, well, basic literacy and production, writing and speaking production outputs. And now I have to also contend with the idea like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe I can talk about it a little bit. Largely though, for me, when it comes to language learning, I focus on the learning part, because it's very difficult for me to restrict myself to a topic that may be too narrow, and to be someone who can form more connections, at least in my opinion, is to find the common connection between everything I do with everything else that other people do. So, for example, if I'm not interested in anime, I can appreciate animation, right? Animation. And understanding all the things that I've seen in animation can draw some parallels and interest in anime. So things like that. So when it comes to like language learning, how do I make Chinese interesting to those who are learning Japanese, and vice versa? So naturally, at least in my opinion, then those people would be interested, maybe, or just hanging out and seeing how at least lots of people are interested in my commentary regarding how Japanese is related to Chinese, whether it's obvious or not, to them already. That's kind of how I go about things. Oh, wait. I think we'll pick up a dungeon here. Wait. Hold? Yeah, it looks like we don't have Lair of the Mad Dragon, but we'll do we will do another Imperial Citadel and call it a day here. So let's go and grab this. It's another advanced Imperial Citadel, sure. Put on this ring. Oh, they don't have another DPS? Weird. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's the secret. I like talking about these things. As part of my overall goal, my focus tends to be on interpersonal skills, right? I say that like a broken record. Interpersonal skills. And then you have like the critical thinking and problem solving. But interpersonal skills often involve trying to leverage whatever you have that's interesting to you, and then making it of interest to the other person by gathering whatever interests that other person. So oftentimes you'll probably hear me say something like, someone would say, oh yeah, have you seen this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not familiar with it. Tell me a little bit about it. And then I will actively relate that to something that I know, and then we can exchange. Like, hey, you know what? I'll check this out. If you're interested, this is what I think is very similar to that. Maybe it will interest you. And then, and so on and so forth. Then we can discuss and exchange ideas without necessarily having the same interest, right? Finding that fundamental connection. Okay. All right. That guy just walked in and got bopped, but weird. Feels bad. Oathkeeper. And that Oathkeeper uses Hand of Divinity, so nice. I feel far more secure than the last Oathkeeper I bumped into. So, you stream earlier, Lacey? Is that, that example that you mentioned, was that like earlier in the day? It's kind of nice, base knowledge. I don't think. Oh, okay. I've had a few comments, but I usually don't have that type of audience. Yeah, usually not the most common type of audience I have. Okay. That guy just took a blast to the face, standing next to me. Yeah. Oh, that was during your stream. Okay, so you're earlier in the day. You can enjoy my second stream a lot. You enjoy yours, by the way. You feel like my brain was working a bit more, so you can learn and also focus on chat. I see. Ah. So you have 2 separate sessions a day. I know what you're saying. So, is that the accurate impression I'm getting? Oh, wait. You mean like second ever stream? Okay. Okay. First stream was yesterday with okay, it's second. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize. Okay. That's my misunderstanding. I imagined you were already second ever. Okay. The odds of that happening was, you know, a lot of times when people talk about streaming, usually it's not. I don't encounter people like starting out. It rarely ever happens. Oh, that explains a lot of things too, about hearing things and whatnot. Okay. Actually, that gives me a bit of a more framework, like a mindset. I've gotten so used to what's a common occurrence when when you stream and or post things on YouTube nowadays. I'm sure you might get this impression vicariously as a person who consumes media, but generally speaking, those who have the willingness to express something, tend to be individuals who believe you are less competent than they are, because naturally they are in a position where they want to contribute or like inform you or something like that. So you might be thinking like, where am I getting this impression? It's largely after, you know, six plus years of evaluating behavior and whatnot that gave me this impression. So most of the time, the ones that you are more statistically likely, I'm not saying all of them because I have plenty, out of all of them, you still have a percentage of people who are more inclined to relate to you or share some sort of personal experience, like story exchange and like coffee table talk and whatnot. But I think the vast majority that outnumbers the rest are individuals that are there to inform you something that they know in you. No. You didn't deceive me. I was being presumptuous. So that's what I mean. I'm trying to contextualize how habitual I have become, right? My presumptions are built on the idea that the thing I'm describing now is that usually when people are very direct and upfront, it's usually coming from a place of experience or like a perceived experience. So I was under the misunderstanding that I created myself, that you might be someone who probably have streamed quite a long time now and whatnot. It's a very common occurrence. Like the people that you met yesterday are the rare occasions that they started after me, as in their experience is more limited than myself. And the reason why I'm saying this is I'm not saying you will experience the same thing because of your personality and whatnot. Like it could be very different. For me, I'm always engaged in things that I'm not necessarily competent in. So learning something is what I do most of the time, and I tend to expect out of habit. It's not your, I don't think it's genuinely your fault. It's my fault. I tend to always have this predilection to assume that the person I'm talking to is more competent than I. Because rarely do I engage in anything in which I'm more competent than the person who's visiting me. So that's kind of a thing. And that's probably due to my brand, I suppose. Brand of my personality tends to involve giving people the impression that I am less competent, largely because I like learning things all the time. It's happened before. Or let's just say for every one person who's ever like kind of asked me directly with a genuine question due to maybe I'm having more experience, I typically don't ever give people the impression that I have more experience than the next person. That can alleviate some things like asking questions that I'm not comfortable answering because I don't have enough experience, or just the idea that if I'm always constantly learning things, then people don't think they can learn, right? So that's kind of the fun little double-edged thing, and that works for me. I said this kind of in a humorous way with like video game analogies, and that's that I farm people for ideas. What makes me very consistent and successful over dang it. I was trying to get that guy up, but I keep forgetting I'm the tank, not the healer. What makes is funny is I'm playing a game, an MMORPG, and the whole idea is I farm people for ideas, and then that's what I built my skills off of. My interpersonal skills and communication is built off the idea and generosity of other people. So in a way, I'm not really that generous because I'm always asking questions and stuff and taking other people's ideas and making them work. That's kind of what so when someone asks me like, oh yeah, but how do I support you as a content creator or something like that, and I'm like, you're doing it right now. Just stay here, explain yourself, and I'll get some ideas off you. Easy peasy. It's equivalent exchange. I tend to emphasize the idea of investing in people. You have the same, but I did not expect you to have that personality trait based on my expertise. I don't have. It's kind of funny. That's also probably why I was fairly ill-equipped to continue pursuing my career, because it was very tough to keep up that like feeling. I have spent most of my life negotiating imposter syndrome, right? That's a very real thing where sometimes it can be very tough to be trusted with producing results and offering advice when you yourself feel often incredibly incompetent in most of the things. So naturally, I've embraced a lifestyle where, you know what? Let's just make everything more approachable and then see where it goes from there. Right. Uh-oh. Hold up. These guys are having a little problem. A little bit of a problem. Yeah. I think my my only marketable skill at this point is doing just that. The more people I talk to, the more grounded and experience I have in doing this. Content creation is a very, you know, trendy thing. So if there's anything that's no shortage is to collect trendy topics and be involved in things from people who are very vocal about their stuff. So solving a lot of people's problems, being involved in their business, so to speak, like voluntarily. So asking questions give me an opportunity into their lens. So when a developer, like, you know, an indie developer invites me to do something, then if I ever communicate with them, then I would spend most of my time trying to collect their experience. It's pretty much what my background was, right? That's what academia is, in my opinion. One of the things about graduating from a school, like lots of university stuff, is the idea that you spent most of your time under the guidance and available resources of people who are more experienced than you. And I don't think that has ever changed. Even when I used to be the person who's teaching the thing, because the first thing I would think about is, what can I learn from my students? That's usually, so my strategy tends to be, well, I'm disseminating this information, but why stop there? It's not a one-way exchange, and that's kind of what graduate school and college and graduate school taught me, was the essential part of growth as an intellectual, which is to optimize and make learning and teaching more multifaceted. So if I'm learning to teach something, I need to improve learning to teach that thing. If someone is interacting with me, then I must also try to seize that moment. So whenever I teach or do whatever nowadays, I'm far more active in understanding how many things I can learn from these lessons or these interactions, right? People are my currency. We're not saying it in a like a reductive way. They are legitimately the lifeblood of why I get up in the morning, what motivates me, what puts a smile on my face. And they are also the source of what makes me sad and what's disheartening and all that. So that's usually how that works. So there's always a thing to be learned as an interaction with human beings. In fact, here's a really common string of conversational topics that happen a lot. Someone would say something like, oh, you don't want to hear it. Like, I just like boring stuff. Like, I'm really basic. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Tell me. Tell me how you're basic, right? Tell me what you think is basic. And perhaps we can discuss about it, right? The idea is, well, if you think you're basic and negative about it, well, certainly we have to start with what you know, right? And then one day that person won't be basic anymore. And you know what's great about that? It also means that I would know what people are considered basic, and also how one person decided how they become less basic to themselves. So that's kind of like a way to make any old conversation be fruitful and meaningful to someone. You take whatever they give you, because generosity, right? You don't I don't necessarily force anyone to. I encourage them to. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. It's like, oh, you don't want to hear about it. It's the same old, same old. It's like, tell me about it. I'm willing to convince you that I have something to say about it. And it would be something that I hope would be a little bit encouraging, right? And one day that person will openly share whatever they decide that's interesting. And then we have a basis for growth together. Gonna follow me on the account you stream? Oh, okay. Alright, yeah, because I don't want my friends to know you stream and they know about this one. Oh, I see. Like, surely the person has heard my interest 1,000 times. Yeah. The whole... I don't want people to think that just because they have basic things, it's not of value. There's a reason why you are doing it, right? It has some either pragmatic, sentimental, or any combination of things. So my first thought, if I need to press harder, is like, well, you know, I want to get to know you. So whether you think it's basic or not, how can I get to know you if you won't share any of that, right? That's a little bit pushy, but I want to give the person the impression that it is valuable. Like, the most accessible thing or the most valuable thing I can provide is the use of my time and my thoughts. I think that's what I have to offer. So if you think you're basic, then let's be basic together. Let's be basic together. In fact, that was one of the icebreakers that I had with a few people a bit back. Like, oh yeah, but you know, I just like watching mainstream anime. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Which one you watching? Right? That's just it. Ownership. I think being surrounded with people who are very comfortable with their own ownership is beautiful, incredibly beautiful. I would not ever be concerned with someone's health and lifestyle if they're comfortable with if they demonstrate that they are aware of their insecurities, but also have ways to navigate their insecurities. Which is the idea of, I think the most common thing that the internet has spawned lately is making your life feel ordinary, right? Because in the digital age, in post-editing, post-processing, like all your edits and sensationalism may cause someone to normalize the idea that their life is very ordinary. Like, well, give me a 30 minutes and I can tell you that your life is not ordinary to me. And if it is ordinary, isn't that nice too? It can be nice and pleasurable to have an ordinary life. Moderation. I think a lot of times success is created by the person. Like, the perception of success is not necessarily exclusive to it, but it does involve the person's state of mind as well. I'm not keeping track of my current position as I'm ranting. We have to get this guy. Hold up. Okay. I can't pick this guy up if I'm the tank, but I'll try anyways. These guys don't pick each other up. Yeah, if a person has insecurity, it's good to put their mind at ease straight away. Yeah. Yeah. It's totally worth it. Yesterday I started. I like how Blair and Affeyes is combining the ideas. Building a village one person at a time is a great mantra that I might start to embrace. Building a village one person at a time. Okay, that's awkward. All right. Just avoiding the red platforms. I didn't swap out my encounter powers, but that's okay. Okay. All right. And also, I understand the whole. I definitely understand the whole keeping your streaming thing separate from your casual account and stuff. For me, it's not as a big of a thing because like the people I have around me don't actually partake in these types of activities. I'm more or less the only one. I do have lots of new friends though in the last couple years that were pretty consistent, and they more or less know me in this way, but they don't know me in any other way, which that's also a funny, interesting role reversal. Like, so the question is, when will they get to know me outside of this? And I talk about my life story quite often, so I try my best when people are curious. But if no one asks, like, not really that relevant. Secretly, though, one day I imagine more people will eventually find out, more or less, how I'm secretly an average person. I was gonna maybe like do a subversion and say like, oh yeah, secretly, I don't know, I'm a professional underwater basket weaver, and I didn't pull that out yet. But no, the secret is basically I am an American who was born in the millennial generation. So what do millennials typically do classically in the United States during my generation? They get good grades in high school, they go to college, they go to graduate school, and they either aim to become a doctor or have a high degree in something, right? And statistically and possibly subversion for other people outside the generation or people from other countries, most of the millennials do not end up staying in the profession that they spent most of their life working on when they reach the academic route. So for myself, obviously, in order for me to do whatever it is that I'm doing now here, it would be incredibly impressive if one was able to still work in academia and do this. The reason why I still think this is the case for people's understanding is that I did get questions about that. I think it's very humorous and a very I feel very flattered. I feel very flattered that it's a little bit like uncomfortable. Like people make it seem very uncomfortable to ask, like, dude, you do this so much and like you have so much time to study. It's like, may I ask? Like, I hope this is not too offensive, but may I ask what your day job is, right? Or do you work at all and whatnot? And I'm like, or someone would say something like, man, you're doing this and that, like, do you even sleep or anything? And then, you know, they learn the secret, my secret, right? Like, well, no, not a superhero, just someone who doesn't actually have a day job. So that's what makes it possible. And I guess that's kind of what I like to show people, right? No, humans are humans. Rarely are they superheroes. And you know what? That's what makes all the incredible things you see. Those people are still human. And that's far more amazing than thinking they're superheroes. In my opinion, relatively speaking. Like, if you think this person is incredibly amazing, you can too. That person would most definitely tell you that they are very relatable too. You want to know the details? Maybe less about myself. How about you? How about you? And we'll exchange. Lacey. How about we exchange? What? Tell me about a hobby that you have that is outside, that you want to integrate. I'm being a little like more, I'll make it less of a blanket statement. Tell me of a hobby that you can imagine yourself using Japanese to bring, like use your Japanese to involve. Because right now mine is video games. So obviously whenever I'm playing Neverwinter, I can still bring up the topic of language learning. Whether it's about Japanese or Chinese, my hobby is the act of learning. So I can bring that up most of the time. How do you see yourself integrating your interest of Japanese with other things? I know this might sound like obvious to some people and maybe not so obvious to others, but one has to think about how to bring the target language to other things other than the target language, right? Like making the thing you're learning the thing that you identify with is can possibly be a little too restrictive to like content creation. So oftentimes I like to encourage people to constantly try to every once in a while do a little background thinking about what do you want to do to make it even more a part of your life, right? And for me, I play a lot of video games. I read about a lot of video games. I read a lot about like tech and stuff. Well, you know what? Maybe in a year's time, I'm gonna go find me a Japanese person who covers tech news. Or I'm gonna go find a very wonderful like video game series that have both Chinese and Japanese audio and fully support it with a really big backing, Sega, Sega, and it just happens to be a game series called Like a Dragon, so that kind of thing, right? That kind of thing, just as a share for maybe providing some direction on with it. You think you're bad at socializing, so maybe my interest will just help me talk to people. Oh, that's excellent. I certainly reached out to more people to practice the language, right? So in that sense, I'm improving my yeah, two birds with one stone. Excellent. Yes, yes, that is an excellent way. I hope you. No, 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 no. That's perfectly all right. That's perfectly all right. There's no like right or wrong answers. I hope I hope I don't give you that impression. Uh, we're shooting whatever works, right? Um, I think and I hope that is what you continue to do. I think that's one element of language learning that I feel youthful people have trouble caressing in the long run. Like one of the biggest impediments, in my opinion, like ever the things that eventually become a crutch to self-studying, like the act of self-studying a secondary language and whatnot, is the inability to overcome or encourage oneself to be comfortable with socializing or improving on interpersonal skills, right? Nowadays, in the digital age, there are a lot of conveniences that remove the need for developing interpersonal skills. And yet, lots of people highly value the capacity to be fluent in speech. And one of the biggest requirements for fluency in speech is having the opportunity to talk to people. Well, my general plug for being someone, I suppose, that focuses quite a lot on communication skills. It's basically like my broken record. Is the idea that in order to reach that capacity, you also have to have the interpersonal skills to do so. So lots of people would say things like, well, you know, I can't find anyone to talk to, or I don't know what to say and stuff. And oftentimes I hear them say this in their native language. Like, hey, I asked you a question, and your response is like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. And then the other person is in a one-way exchange of asking questions and whatnot. And you might be thinking, okay, well, how does this relate to a target language? Well, if you're having a bit of insecurities and problems in your native language, I think having a language that you're uncomfortable in and hoping to improve might more likely to exacerbate those barriers, like elevate those barriers, right, in a negative way. So I like to remove that barrier as well. I think language learning requires encouraging others, just like what you're saying, to, in the process of learning a language, there can be many opportunities to socialize, even with other language learners, using not the target language, but that still becomes like an opportunity to practice socialization skills, right? What more poetic opportunity to develop interpersonal skills than talking about learning another language to communicate, right? At least in my opinion. So if any of this is interesting, I think to me that is in a very common thread to talk about when it comes to language learning. Like, how do you initiate a conversation? Well, you could try to frame it in Japanese, sure, or you can frame it in anything, because initiating conversation still involves being able to initiate the conversation, whichever language you're using, actually. Let's see. The reverse. Some things I like now that I can bring Japanese into is history. Oh, interesting. Japanese history, huh? In what manner of Japanese? I love to study Japanese history in Japanese. Oh, one of your favorite historical events involved the Japanese Navy. Oh, interesting. The Japanese Navy. Huh? Which event might that be? Because I can think of a few, so I'm not sure which one you might be alluding to. Oh, the Battle of Midway? Okay, okay. I thought you might be going with the last thing that I read deep into was the whole thing about Yamato. Oh, Yamato? The Yamato or Yamato? Battleship. The battleship in Hiroshima. Or some of the war-related things like Iwo Jima and stuff. But Battle of Midway, huh? Intriguing. Yeah, the sinking of Yamato. Yeah, Yamato. I keep forgetting if it's Yamata or Yamato. Yeah, the sinking of that. And then like other things related to like its reconstruction or other things like the historical piece revolving around that battleship. It's tangentially related to a video game series that I played that caused me to go down that route, which was Yakuza. Yakuza the Song of Life. 6. Yakuza 6, the Song of Life. It had a very interesting like kind of alternative history conspiracy theory involving like organized crime and the history of Battleship Yamato. So that's kind of where that thought is going. Other than that, maybe when you said Japanese history, I was thinking perhaps the shogunate, right? There's a lot of popularity in the shogunate, and the thing that I probably remember most vividly is probably the Civil War period, like the Tokugawa period, where there was a war between East and West Japan. That's probably some of the things I know. And then you have the Meiji, right? The Meiji period. Kind of like your Japanese Renaissance period. Renaissance being like an allusion to European cultural revolution. History. Intriguing. Do you engage in Japanese history in any way outside of like reading? I guess you're doing reading most of the time. Movies, like documentaries. There's such a wealth of tangentially historically related stuff. Japanese history. Lots of prominent Japanese history stuff. Oh, dang. I didn't even see that big purple ball hitting my face. Okay. I did the same, but I stayed away from the team, so at least I didn't bop anyone in the face there. I haven't been paying attention to what I'm doing on screen. Usually Neverwinter is a bit of an autopilot thing. Okay. Just reading, okay, and YouTube videos. There's a very good 3-part series about the Battle of Midway. I'm honestly interested in naval history. Okay, but you like to expand your interest in Japanese to explore those areas? Ah, okay. I'm not sure if you're into like getting vignettes of like maybe Japanese like battle, like war period thing, but I think one that really stuck out to me when it comes to depictions is letters from Iwo Jima. I think it was directed by Clint Eastwood. Oh, that is something. That is quite a visceral depiction that deals with maybe a lesser known. Sorry, one second. Dang it. Okay. That's all she wrote. A lesser known like part of like the war. Like I'm guess let me sure. Yeah. Hang on. Let me make sure I got my. It's been a while, but I watched it in the. It's an indie film. So letters from Iwajima, 2006. Oh, it's a really good one. Clint Eastwood, director Clint Eastwood. I think it was Blinding Light. 2000. I want to get my like. It's World War II. It's World War II, and it deals with like a very specific smaller encounter and vignette of a strategic defense location, and it was an island defense location. So maybe it's tangentially related to strategic naval places. It's a companion piece, so you can actually compare and contrast it with American culture. So Clint Eastwood made 2 movies. It's I think it was Flags of Our Father, which was fantastic, by the way, and Letters from Iwo Jima. And these are period pieces regarding like small vignettes of battles elsewhere, so to speak. And they were pretty incredible. So you can always have like a different perspective shift and whatnot. Yeah, when was Flags of Our Father? I think it's the same year. That's actually 2 sides of the same story. Yeah, so Flags of Our Father and Letters from Iwo Jima. Yeah, you get the U.S. and the Japanese perspective around this costly battle. It's pretty cool. It's one of the ones that I remember. Wow, I might even watch again. And also, you know, fair warning, obviously, it's Clint Eastwood's like direction tends to be very grounded, so we're not talking about like superheroes and, you know, like very monumental feats of heroism or anything. It's quite grounded, very and very real. Sometimes dramatizations take some liberties to add a bit of wiggle room where there's noise, but in this case, yeah, it's a very brutal or very grounded depiction of the situation. Yeah. Okay. With that said, World War II, an ever-present thing, especially in Japanese culture. Ever-present. It also really, really makes one incredibly humble and privileged to know how the United States interacts with Japan now, if you know what I mean. Like being people of this era. And we're talking about learning Japanese, or at least I don't know if you're American. We haven't really established that. But for me, I am, right? I do identify as an American, and just living in an era. There's a deeper cut in this because my parents are Chinese, so there's like a triangle effect here when it comes to China, the United States, and Japanese relations. However, living in a period like this and being an English speaker coming from the United States, you know, born and raised in the United States, and then watching these pieces like about World War II, brings together this really like deeper appreciation, whether you know Japanese or you know English, whichever one, is how different our perspectives are now in our current time, right? As a person who did not grow up with the impact of that, watching these like pieces kind of really shows, wow, what a different time we live in now, especially when it comes to the US and the Japanese. I didn't see any, I can't remember anything that came out where it related like Chinese and American relations. Anyone like a director or someone who's maybe necessarily brave enough and whatnot to engage in that type of like story making and film directing. Let's see. Ikirisu. Oh, Ikirisu Jin desu. Oh. Hmm. Can I think of, is there a good British with Japanese culture? There are a couple things that come to mind, but they got canceled. And what I mean by that is the show just cost too much. the show cost too much, and not a lot of people were interested. I was thinking of like historical things, because naval, when it comes to naval things, there are quite a lot of interactions between the UK and like Japan when it comes to like naval things, which kind of checks out the whole naval interest. If there's any country also incredibly rich in naval history, is the United Kingdom, right? Plenty of set pieces dealing with the once incredibly, let's just say, successful naval empire that the United Kingdom had, right? So there is quite a lot. It's usually like the pieces I'm thinking of is usually the interaction between either the United States or Great Britain or Germany and the UK, right? And then maybe some aerial things between like Italy and the UK that I can think of off the top of my head when it comes to like history and like militaristic things. I'll get back to you on that. It's been a while. Anyways, I'm at 2.5 hours. Well, I'm gonna conclude this segment, which, by the way, Neverwinter is a live service game. I play this game as a meditative thing, so it's actually my backdrop to basically yapping. I actually do most things for the excuse of yapping, so I hope that becomes very apparent. And anyways, end of week 7, right? Pretty average. You do your weekly hauls, which were surprisingly quick because they added 3 weeklies, 5 weeklies total, which includes the heroic encounter and the activities, which makes things quick. We did 2 Imperial Citadels. Technically, we jumped into a final boss, which I don't understand why they lost some of their members. And also we did one where I totally don't remember what I did because it's on autopilot. And there you have it, Imperial Citadel, arguably more popular than Lair of the Mad Dragon. Right now there's still few Lair of the Mad Dragons. Actually, there aren't any Lair of the Mad Dragons. There's a bunch of Demon Web Pits and Imperial Citadel, so it kind of gives you an idea of which dungeons rewards are priority. Even Advanced Dance of the Moon Dancer or Defense of the Moon Dancer. Anyways, all right, so that's a wrap. No Lair of the Mad Dragon for today, but we want to keep this at 2.5 hours. So for the Neverwinter folks out there, right? It's always wonderful to have casual conversations while playing a live service game. Right? It's a great opportunity to chill, relax, talk about things. In fact, the population in Neverwinter tends to talk about openly about cultural things and things of that nature. So if you're just sitting in PE, you'll probably hear a lot of maybe agreeable and disagreeable things. So that's kind of a pleasant place to connect with the stuff that you and I, Lacey, have been conversing about a little bit. Anyways, until next week, right? I'll be back. Reset. There are 3 weeks left. 7th week, business as usual. Solid 5 out of 10. Not any better, not any worse. Live service, cryptic, doing cryptic things. Nothing to write home about, right? Also, nothing to write home about that's both positive and negative. So, I'll be back next week on Monday. Got 3 weeks to go. And then we'll be off to the next module. It sounds like they talk about controversial cultural things. They do. Neverwinter is incredibly enriched for the European area. So naturally, there are a lot of people with dissonant and different takes. And also, lots of them also involves talking about the presence of other people who aren't there yet, which is across the ocean here in the United States. It can get a little controversial. Naturally, out of courtesy, I don't show any of it. The chat box is actually where my face is. Yep. So until next time, have fun. You know, enjoy, do something. Live service games have their place, right? I use live service game as a way to ruminate, meditate, do something that is very comforting before I start learning and doing other things. So I hope the people who still are interested in Neverwinter are enjoying it the way I'm enjoying it. Or maybe they're hardcore still about that stuff. Until next time, though, I'll be back next Monday. All right.